I'm doing much better. Уже нога лучше, с ногой лучше. Just a little braces. Немножечко у меня тут с ногой, но уже лучше, скажем.
Хорошо, хорошо.
Mr. President, I had a good time at that little party. I was so glad you came. Most of these times they look like mug photos, you know, police all over.
You didn't catch me playing hooky drinking coffee this morning. You had me so frightened.
We're going to bring the principal in for just one moment. So we use.
Я вчера, я перепутал, вчера сегодня.
I read yesterday, but I'm sorry, I'm confused. I read it from yesterday. Is it a day or not?
Вчера поужинал, а через 15 минут зовут завтракать.
I just had my supper yesterday, and a quarter of an hour later they told me to get my lunch.
President Yeltsin. Спасибо вам за гостеприимство, отличное здесь отели, прекрасно принимают.
President Yeltsin, if we may, we understand the United States and Britain are looking for help on a resolution on Iraq in the United Nations that's being discussed. Is Russia at least willing to promise not to veto the resolution?
Британия и Соединенные Штаты хотели бы получиться вашей поддержкой по резолюции ООН в отношении Ирака. Вы готовы, по крайней мере, не блокировать?
Я готов блокировать ответ на ваш вопрос.
I'm prepared to block my answer to your question.
Mr. President, will the United States support the expansion of the G7 to a G8 to include Russia?
Well, Russia is fully included. This is the first time we've ever had a meeting where Russians were here from the beginning to the end. And we also have another happy development today. When we were in Helsinki, I pledged to President Yeltsin that I would do my best to see Russia admitted into the Paris Club within a year. And Russia and the Paris Club has just completed their negotiations, which means that now Russia will be a partner with the other members in trying to help promote the global economic growth by relieving the burden of debt on developing countries that develop themselves. So what you see here is a sweeping integration of Russia into the major decision-making networks of the world in a way that is very positive for the rest of us. And I must say, since in the last 5 years, as Russian participation has steadily increased here, we have seen the agenda of this group broaden dramatically. Because Russia is a partner, we can talk about, for example, what we can do together to prevent the inappropriate spread of nuclear materials. And we can work together on a whole range of other options. So I'm very positive about this and very pleased with this summit and pleased with the emergence of Russia as a leader in all these world institutions. It's a great tribute, I think, to President Yeltsin's leadership and to the commitment of the Russian people to democracy and reform.
Mr. President, is there a tobacco settlement and are you happy with it?
I don't believe it's been announced yet. I don't know that a settlement's been reached.
But you've been briefed, sir.
Well, I've been generally briefed that they're approaching a settlement, but if there is a settlement in fact announced today, then I'll make a statement about it.
Will you
But until there is, I don't want to make a statement.
Will you intervene if there's a problem over regulation? What is your feelings on there's an impasse over regulation? Yes.
I don't know anything about that. Let's wait and see if they've reached an agreement. If there is an agreement, I'll make a statement. I know that there is one.
Борис Николаевич, уважаемый президент, можно задать сразу вопрос российского телевидения, программы «Вести». Существует ли юридический механизм сохранения России восьмерки на долгосрочной основе? Будете ли вы обсуждать этот вопрос в ходе вашей встречи сегодня? Юридический механизм закрепления России в составе восьмерки.
Let me say that until you asked that question, no one had ever suggested that to me that there would ever be a time when Russia would not be a full partner in this group today.
До сих пор, пока бы то, что спросили, никогда никакой речи не шло о том, что Россия не будет. Всегда предполагалось, что Россия станет членом.
Let me just remind you that over the last few years, as the participation of Russia in this group has grown to this moment when, for the first time, we are here together from beginning to end and participating in only one press conference together and speaking as one voice. And as I'm sure you probably know, Russia has reached an agreement to join the Paris Club. It has enabled this body to go from a purely economic focus to deal with the common challenges that we have in the world we're about to enter and the one we face today. For example, the work we're doing in nuclear cooperation would be impossible if Russia were not our partner here. And there are many other things that we're going to do together. So I think that this is a cause for celebration, not only in Russia, but in the other countries here.
Вы знаете, вот первый раз вы собрались все вместе, как полная восьмерка. Один голос, одна совместная пресс-конференция. Парижский клуб «Россия вступает». Поэтому давайте скажем, что в начале, когда Большая Семерка обсуждала чисто экономические вопросы, сейчас мы обсуждаем общие вопросы, которые являются вызовом, брошенным для всех народов всего мира. Поэтому мы никогда не смогли бы добиться таких успехов по ядерным, например, вопросам, без участия России. Поэтому сегодня мы должны праздновать это событие, огромнейшее событие.
Let me just say one final thing. I consider this day and all these things that are happening that are positive attribute, first of all, to the support of the Russian people for democracy and reform, and second, to the unusual combination of vision and persistence that President Yeltsin has displayed over so many years. It's quite a hopeful moment for the world, I think, and I give him a lot of credit for it.
Давайте скажем еще одну вещь, что по мере того, как все происходит, все эти огромные позитивные события, нужно отдать должное тому, что российский народ не отступил от демократии. И второе, нужно поблагодарить Бориса Николаевича Ельцина за то, что он проявил огромное видение на будущее, что он ни от чего не отступал, поэтому за все эти годы он держался жестко за свой курс, поэтому мы смотрим с огромной надеждой на светлое будущее.
Спасибо.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Shake hands.
Yes.
Cool, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, this way to your right.
Mr. President?
Welcome, Bill.
Good shame. Beautiful
Yes, I'm
shame.
doing better.
No more cat. No more cat. Yeah. That was not the cat.
I love it. Changed my image a little.
You know, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr.
President. And
Providing advisor.
Oui, elle est vraiment, absolument.
Is everyone in?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me say, first of all, I'm delighted to see President Chirac again, and I want to compliment him again on his leadership in Paris recently when we signed the NATO-Russia Founding Act. I have asked for his indulgence, excuse me, so that I can make a brief statement about the settlement which was announced in the tobacco case. You all remember that it was, I think, a little less than a year ago that the Food and Drug Administration announced its proposed rule to restrain the marketing, access, and sales of tobacco to children in the United States. The jurisdiction of the FDA has, subsequently was upheld in court, and I believe that it was those developments which gave rise to the willingness of the tobacco companies to engage in the talks with the states and the other parties. They have now reached a proposed settlement. And the first thing I'd like to do is to compliment the Attorneys General and the others who are involved in this suit for their work to advance the cause of protecting the public health and protecting our children. Now what we have to do is to subject this proposed agreement to strict scrutiny. I have asked my domestic policy advisor, Bruce Reed, and Secretary Shalala to head up an administration team to review this agreement very, very carefully. And they will do that in a matter of weeks, not months. But I want them to take an adequate amount of time. And I want to assure you that my standard will be what it always has been. We must judge this agreement based on whether it advances the public health and will reduce the number of children who are smoking cigarettes. And we will look at it from that point of view. But I do want to congratulate the parties for reaching this agreement, and I'm looking forward to looking into it.
What's your first take on it, Mr. President? Does it look pretty good, or are there some areas that you have questions about?
Well, the money, of course, it's an enormous amount of money. And apparently quite a bit was added just in the last few days. I don't know much more about it than that. I would say this, what I want to look at is two things, principally, from the public health point of view. What is the scope of the FDA's jurisdiction? What is the capacity of the FDA, for example, to deal with nicotine levels in cigarettes, things of that kind? And then the second issue is, how is this money going to be paid in and spent over this period of time? What is the spending, and will it really advance the public health? And of course, then there's some other non-financial issues. What are the nature of the warnings that they've agreed to? I've heard a little about that, but I have had no opportunity really even to see a summary of this agreement. So the number one thing for us will be the scope and nature of the FDA jurisdiction, and then how will the money be spent? Will it really advance public health?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you very much.
No, you want to ask President Chirac first?
What is your position, and will you be talking to President Clinton about Romania's membership in NATO? Would you prefer Romania to be allowed into NATO right now?
Je crois qu'il est dans l'intérêt de l'Europe et
I
aussi
think it's in the interest
dans
of
l'intérêt de la
Europe
Roumanie
and
de
in the
faire
interest
partie
of
du
Romania
premier paquet
to be part of the first set of
admis dans
countries
l'OTAN élargi.
admitted
Donc je
into
développerai
expanded
effectivement
NATO.
ce point de vue qui me paraît
And I will certainly
juste
be
et
presenting
normal.
this viewpoint, which I think is fair and normal.
Mr. President, you evidently got a bad report from President Mubarak on Mideast peacemaking. Are you bringing some urgent message to the President that the U.S. should redouble its efforts? Are you unhappy with the slow state of play?
C'est un sujet que je compte évoquer
This
avec
is
le président Clinton,
a subject that I will be discussing with President Clinton.
car je suis effectivement inquiet de la situation au Proche-Orient.
I am in fact worried about the situation in the Middle East.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So how are you?
Still, thank you all very much.
We have little time.
The next wave, French
Oh, the French press is coming?
Mr. President, could we ask you a question, please?
Yes, before you do, let me say first, I want to welcome President Chirac to the United States again and thank him for the wonderful job that he did in hosting the NATO meeting in Paris, where we announced the historic partnership with Russia. I would also like to thank him for the work that we are doing together in so many parts of the world, and especially on behalf of the American people, to thank him for the help that France gave in the evacuation of American citizens in Brussels. We were very grateful for that. So,
Thank you. I would like to ask you, what is going to be your message to the French and to the Europeans regarding economy? Do you have something special to say about how to have a better economy for Europe?
I don't think there is a uniform answer for one country you can apply to another. But I think that the trick is, how do you have enough fiscal discipline and flexibility to grow jobs and have economic growth while still preserving an adequate safety net for people who deserve their support? You know, the French have a lot of things that we Americans admire. A wonderful network of childcare, for example, for working families. The provision for health insurance for all families. The question is, how can you preserve the essentials that make a society whole and give it integrity, and have it be open and flexible enough to grow? And this question will have to be answered a little differently, I think, in every country. But perhaps if we all work together in good faith, we can all make progress. The United States has a very great interest in economic growth in France and indeed in Europe at large. I have always supported that.
Mr. President, are you going to, with President Chirac, are both of you trying to reshuffle the cards on Africa?
Well, I have always been impressed with President Chirac's leadership in Africa and his passionate devotion to it. And I can tell you that in every private conversation we've ever had that lasted more than 30 seconds, he's brought to Africa. We have a proposal we hope we can work together as we have in different ways in emergencies in Sierra Leone or Brazzaville or the former Zaire. We hope we can work together to really do something for Africa. You know, there are several countries in Africa that had growth rates of over 7% last year, 48 democracies now, and the rest of the world simply can't walk away from it. And we need a balance of aid and trade. And we are prepared in the United States to do more. France has always been a leader, and I hope that together we can persuade other countries to join us.
Monsieur le Président Jacques Chirac, est-ce que s'il vous plaît, vous pensez qu'il est possible d'obtenir un accord sur l'élargissement de l'OTAN avec le président Clinton avant le sommet de Madrid? C'est possible?
Je le souhaite et je le pense.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Give that a JJ, please. Thank you. Cool. Thank you very much.
Hillary was looking so much more.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, Mr.
How are you? Fine. Good. Mr. Clinton. Thank you. Good to see you.
So we'll bring in the press first.
Oh, well, they all right.
I think we should give them a handshake.
Oh, you got that.
Much better. I have a little brace, but no crutches, no cane.
Without it.
No cane.
President, can we ask you one question again? I'm sorry I have to back up. Apparently, Mr. Kessler is already a little bit skeptical about the agreement.
Kessler and Dr. Coote, both of whom, as you know, have worked with me very closely on this issue, asking for a reasonable amount of time for them to evaluate this. And I think that they should evaluate it, and of course I care very deeply about what they say. I have worked with them on a whole range of issues, and we want to see what it says. The test should be, does it preserve clear and unambiguous jurisdiction for the FDA in important areas? And is the money spent in an appropriate way so that we advance the protection of public health and reduce children's smoking? That's it. It's a simple test for me, but I can't comment on it because I haven't seen it. And I think that that's the same for them. You would expect them to put up a few little red flags, but these folks have been working hard and they've done their best, and now we should look at it and make our judgments. Let me say to the American press while you're here, I want to thank Prime Minister Prodi and the members of his government for the extraordinary leadership that Italy has shown in the Balkans, working with us in Bosnia, being a very effective member of the contact group, providing support for American actions there without which we would not have been able to proceed. And then most recently for really an almost unprecedented effort to lead a multinational force in Albania. It was I think I will predict to you that in future years we will look back on this Italian effort and see it as a real watershed in European leadership for promoting security and minimizing disruption. And I just wanted to thank him and say that to you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Prodi, on Bosnia, do you believe that the multinational force should stay after 1998? Do you have any concerns that fighting will still break out?
I have some concern, but we shall talk about that in our conversation, you know. And of course, the Bosnian situation is very complex, and the problem to end it in a short time is not easy to solve. But we came here just to talk of this problem.
Cool. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you. Next to your left. Thank you. Next to the Italian wheel.
This is divided into nations.
Just a question. Is everyone here?
Yes, sir.
I would like to say that it's a great honor for us to have Prime Minister Prodi and distinguished members of his government here. And I want to also say that the United States is deeply grateful for Italy's leadership in promoting peace in the Balkans, especially the work that we have done together in Bosnia. The United States could not have done its job in Bosnia without the support of Italy. And I am especially grateful for the leadership that Italy has shown in Albania. It is an almost unprecedented effort to put together a European initiative to minimize the troubles of Albania, which are the kinds of things that we will be dealing with for a long time. And I believe that in years to come, we will look back on the Italian effort here as a dramatic, historic breakthrough in the capacity of European nations to promote peace and deal with difficulties.
Cool. Thank you very much. Next to your right, please. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Cool. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Gentlemen, thank you. Cool.